Live and everything. That new skateboard deck leaves a weird shadow on the live stream now.
Oh,
it's like got like a light hanging in there. All right, I think we are up and live and everything.
That's the private equity group keeping an eye on us.
Oh, is that what it is? Just the Overlord's
shadow. All right, welcome everyone to the 034 Motorsport live chat, the Zero BS hour as we call it. I'm Javad Shadzi and this is Nate Stewart. We're here to answer all your questions about all things 034. Anything else you'd like to know about? We take a no BS approach to responding, which has hurt lots of people's feelings, unfortunately, but never our intention. But if you ask, we answer, and
if you troll, we don't.
Well, if you troll, we don't. We will just ban you from the channel. So if you'd like to troll and reveal yourself now, please do.
We can clear up early.
Our team of moderators will ban you from the channel, so you won't have to worry about us anymore. But we would love to engage you positively or constructively. So if you do have any constructive concerns about 034 that we can address, we're always happy to. But we just don't like to engage in unproductive stuff.
Yep.
So enter your question into the browser of your choice. We are currently streaming on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebooks. We still haven't gone on OnlyFans yet, but we've had requests.
No. We'll get there.
All right, we got questions rolling in. Let's see. If Stage 1 is the best upgrade on any Audi, why don't we see a bigger focus on promoting Stage 1 performance records? Too much focus on Halo products like Merc blower and ethanol tunes, contingency time. No, we do. Actually, we have set Stage 1 world records whenever possible. We do have Stage 1 contingency prizes, right? So Stage 1 is, you're right, the most popular. It's Stage 1. So I think the focus is sometimes on showing what's possible. So when people come into Stage 1, and this isn't us, this is you guys, you will buy Stage 1 and you immediately want to know what's next, which is great. That's what we're here for. And that's a good thing. If we didn't have Stage 2, Stage 3 Halo product options, people wouldn't buy our Stage 1. So I'm just explaining the reality that we face is Stage 1 is the bottom of a high performance ladder that we need to be able to provide because everybody's looking to progress the performance of their vehicle from Stage 1 to 1 plus to 2 to 3, 4, 17, 100, you know. So I think it's just like anything else, you know, you hear about the world's fastest runner. You've heard of Usain Bolt. You haven't heard about all the other people who run really fast too, you know. So that just, I think there's a tendency to your point of gravitating towards what the most exciting possibility is. But we do focus on Stage 1 and we do encourage Stage 1.
I mean, we had the Stage 1 record in 2015 for the longest. This is a B8 specific question. I mean, we've had the Stage 1 record off and on over the years for quite some time, actually. But yeah, no, if you want to go optimize it and run it, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I think it's great to focus on Stage 1. Stage 1 is, you know, the legal emissions-friendly option that requires minimal modifications to the vehicle. And it is the biggest bang for your buck. You do get
by far
the most powerful.
You get the most out of it.
Mm-hmm. Should I reflash to the Stage 2 tune on my B8 S4 after installing a high-pressure fuel pump piston kit?
No, you don't need to. There's no like high pump specific files for that, other than if you're on the E40 file that requires it. But no, there's no reason to reflash the ECU just because you changed the pump in that. Not unless you're switching files for some reason.
Can you detail some of the positives of your MQB Intercooler over the Wagner design? Not build quality or bashing, but why you chose your design, thicker but narrow, and the benefits. So we're a big supporter of Wagner intercoolers, and we sell a lot of Wagner intercoolers. And for many years, we have proudly pushed the MQB, their particular MQB design, and specifically because it's a tube and fin design, so it's a very light and efficient design. Not necessarily the best option for drag racing or dyno queen kind of stuff, but on the road, you're going to get substantial improvement in cooling of your intake charge while adding minimal weight to the very front of the car, which is the last place you'd want to put it. More and more, we are a world-renowned tuner of Volkswagens and Audis, and MQB is a very big product focus for us. So we set out to just do our own design and bring our own design to market. We plan on doing more intercoolers while continuing to carry and promote the Wagner intercoolers as well. But we have engineering resources here, and we like to provide them to our customers, and a lot of our customers also express to us that they're looking for 034 products whenever possible, which is great. So when we designed this intercooler, it wasn't necessarily based off of anything about the Wagner. In fact, I am very clear with our engineers that when we start developing a product, that it's not with another product or option in mind. One, I don't like blatantly copying or ripping off other companies. We do have overlap in product areas with other companies, which is inevitable, and sometimes we get accused of copying. But the goal is to come out with a great, excellent product, and to design it from a very 034 engineering focus or perspective. So when we set out to design this intercooler, we did a clean sheet design. We started with a stock intercooler system, and we designed and upgraded there. So any differences you see is not necessarily that we tried to make it better or different than the Wagner, but it's just our version of an MQB intercooler, not borrowing or taking anything away from anyone else. We did ultimately benchmark our intercooler performance with every other intercooler option on the market. I think we tested 4 or 5 of the better supposed units on the market, and ours performs right there at the top. Ours doesn't necessarily perform better than all the other ones, but it's as good of a performance as you can get in an MQB intercooler with a tube and fin design at what we feel is a very attractive, fair price, especially when compared to the competition. So that's where we came from. The Wagner is a great option. So is the 034 unit. They both perform basically the same. You're going to get the same performance specifications from both. They're within percents of each other. So yeah. Mark A GTI with your Stage 191 tune. I have noticed that the oil temps are way lower with your tune on a day with temps being over 100. Oil temps stay around 210 stock, was 230F. How do you do this? How do we do change the oil temps?
There's a bunch of different strategies, and depending on the exact make and model, but generally the thermal management is something we will be a little more performance oriented with, and we will target a little lower cylinder head temperatures and block temperatures where we can. That's just these cars thankfully have lots of knobs to turn, so generally you'll have more. It's not just you don't just have control of like a thermostat. You may have control of a thermostat and a cylinder head temperature set point, and it can vary, flow between the head, the block, the valve. So there's a bunch of different control systems in there to open up coolant passages and move stuff around. So that's generally what we will do to help maintain a lower operating temperature in general. The factory stuff is generally going to target a pretty high temperature. They do it for a couple of reasons, but performance is not one of them. So what you'll see is in a factory car, when you get on it, if you're logging something, the coolant temperature will be like 110 C, and as you start to romp on it, then it'll drop down and come down to, or try to come down to the low 90s. We are more proactive in that, where we will ride it at a lower temperature earlier instead of playing catch up. We want to keep it down there, and it'll maintain a little lower temperature overall usually.
Yeah. I'm looking to get a B9 S4, and I've been told to get a 2019 because of the rockers. But do you think that a 2018 would be fine on your Stage 1 E85 tune?
Yeah, the tune's really got nothing to do with the rockers and how long or short the lifespan they have. There's been even 2019s that have had rocker issues, but they have revised them over the years. After 2018 is I think one of the latest big steps, and then there's still a couple of revisions from that. So I mean, yeah, it's a crapshoot. There's millions of those rockers out there rattling around. There's a percentage failure rate of some sort, but
it's small.
It's very small.
Yeah, it's hard to say. We've even seen some of the newer 2020s supposedly have this issue. It is quite rare. You hear a lot of talk about it. When you talk to dealerships and stuff, they say they do see them, but it's not like it's like less than 1% of cars seem.
Oh, way less than 1%. Yeah.
So I think it just goes with the territory of owning a car. Sometimes things can go wrong and break. So I don't know. I think maybe buying a car with an engine warranty could be good, assuming you don't avoid it.
A lot of the ones I've seen, there's been a audible change in the motor, and people have detected or been able to diagnose that it's a rocker going out before anything catastrophic happens. Yeah. It's just annoying maintenance at that point, but it's not a catastrophic thing.
But stage one is perfectly safe for all these cars, and the rocker arms are not caused by tuning. So
yeah. Now if you're running some wild tune that's revving the thing out to the moon, then that's a different zone. But no, stage one files you're going to be totally fine with.
Manual B8 S4. How do I use launch control?
We have a video on that. So if you go to YouTube, you can find how to use the advanced launch features on the B8 S4. It is exactly the same whether you're a DSG or a manual. We have all of the same functions in there. So you're going to use your cruise control stock to kind of set your set points and get things turned on. And from there, it's just hold the clutch. It'll hold at that RPM when you're going to launch, and then pop off the clutch, and you're gone. So make sure you've got enough clutch for what you're trying to launch for. But other than that, it's just play with the RPM set point, and should be able to dial it in.
I have a B8 Avant, and it's swapped with a 2013 S5 3.0T. What tune would I get?
You would get the S5 3.0T tune.
Yeah. Assuming that you have the factory ECU and TCU from that.
Yeah. So when you plug in, we will look at the VIN, just to see what vehicle it is, but it's not going to determine what the server categorizes as the correct tune. We'll go to the exact engine controller, check part numbers on the engine controller, and see what file and product to match that.
The tune will be locked to that VIN.
Yeah.
But the VIN number doesn't determine what gets tuned.
No.
What tune you get.
No. So. You'll get the correct tune for whatever engine is in there.
And we'd love to have our tune on your car.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Very cool car. Was that the one? I wonder if that's the one that was built by
back in
Tyler and those guys.
Oh, he just built a few of them.
Did he?
Built a V8 swapped B8 Avant as well.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
It was nice being in Europe and seeing all the cool Avants they get. I saw
the Forbidden Fruit
an RS4 Avant as well. A B9. That was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Is rolling AMAX ever coming out for the B9?
Rolling AMAX, yeah. Oh, rolling AMAX, yes.
Yes,
that is coming. We've got a stage stage 2 and 3 updates coming. Both will have rolling AMAX options available for them. We're also rolling in some no auto upshift features when you're in manual mode, all kinds of good stuff. And there's second gear launch on stage 3 files coming. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of features that are dropping very, very soon.
Mm-hmm.
And rolling MX is going to be one of them. And I know you've probably seen some videos of some people out there testing it and betaing it for us. So it's very close.
And it's a free upgrade,
mm-hmm.
free update. From my understanding, you guys are working on a full torque tune for the Mark 8 without TCU. Is that going to be for all stages, and is there a tentative date release?
Yep.
We are working on it. It's definitely coming.
Yeah, as far as all stages, right now, it's likely, yes, we're doing some more testing on that. So we will let you know once we get there. But yeah, everything's looking good right now.
Our goal is to release it on all the stages and make it fully available to anyone that would like. And it is a top priority. I know there's been some
Yeah.
People expressing urgency or frustration at not having it yet. But yeah, just hang tight. We're working on it. We'll get it out as soon as we can. And it will be done right. It will be safe. All the things 034. When would the software for 4M Q7 CREC vehicles be released?
Oh my goodness.
We are in the final stages
updates,
of beta testing and making the final production ready. So I think we're currently shooting for next week sometime. So stay tuned.
Yep.
Any plans to do 034 DIY videos on installing some of your popular parts? Yeah, no, not a lot of plans for that. It is something we would like to do more of. We understand that it's very helpful. That customers enjoy it. But it's just a lot of time and energy. We have a big staff, but everyone's very busy, and so the install instructions are something that we provide for every new product we release. There are some older products that don't have them, but
it's got to be getting pretty old at this point.
Yeah, I mean we've been doing detailed install instructions for at least 7-8 years. So there's some of like the older breather hose kits don't, but people seem to install those just fine. But maybe we should do a video for the upcoming PCV hose.
Yeah.
Be easy enough, and that'll be a very popular product. So thanks for saying something. We take your feedback seriously. It's good to know that people value that. Not a question, but a shout out to the team for recently releasing SQ7, SQ8 front rotors. You're welcome. Those are big fucking rotors. Are those the 400 mil ones?
Yes.
Yeah, those were big.
One of the 400 mils that we just
did. Yeah.
400. That's insane.
Yeah, dude. It's like 14.5 inches or whatever. Does the factory ECU TCU tune or 034s do anything different for the B9 SQ5 versus S4 to accommodate the larger size and weight?
Not as much as you think.
Yeah.
Yes, there are absolutely compensations in there. Most of it is related to the assisted driving stuff, so cruise control, the dynamic and reactive stuff. The ECU needs to know vehicle mass and tire diameters and wheel and weights and all that kind of thing to accurately and smoothly know how much torque it's going to need to accelerate at a given rate or decelerate or whatever it needs to do. So that's the majority of the changes you'll see in there. There are, depending on configurations, some different stuff for cooling strategies or in some of these cars you'll get off-road maps that you've got to make sure you go in and calibrate properly, depending on the vehicle and what modes they've got. So yeah, there's some differences, but the base core engine mapping is almost identical across most of these. It's kind of if you've got the same engine code with the same spec power output, they're going to be a very close calibration between them for the vast majority of it. So most of it's in the details of fan controls, different body modules, that kind of thing.
We need more E92 M3 parts. Wonderful. What would you like?
Yeah.
Tell us.
Get us a list.
Sean, if you can follow up with them.
Yep.
We're always looking for new ideas, and BMW doesn't run quite as much through our blood as Audi and the Volkswagen does. But all the engineering principles and product function and materials science is the same between Audis and BMWs. So sometimes for us, it's just a matter of knowing what our BMW peeps looking for, and we would love to do more E92 parts. So please send us any suggestions you'd like. Someone says turn signal delete. Is that's something people want?
It might be a BMW thing, yeah.
No, sorry.
BMW drivers don't use the turn signal.
I just made that up.
Well,
Nobody actually said that. I lied.
I mean, maybe they will now.
Yeah. Should I replace pads on my B9.5 RS5, or do you recommend replacing both pads and rotors at the same time? We do usually recommend doing pads and rotors at the same time. However, it's not necessary. That's what break-in procedures are for.
Yeah, you can also take your rotors typically to an auto shop and get them surfaced to kind of get a fresh face on them for new pads.
Yeah, you can throw them on a brake lathe and clean up the rotor faces. If your rotors are relatively smooth and in good shape, then it's not really as much of an issue. If you have grooves or stuff that you can feel with your fingernails, you're running radially across it, then that's just gonna affect the surface area that the pad interacts with. So if you have a lot of ridges, the pad's gonna just hit the top of those ridges. And eventually the pad will wear down through the ridges and the pad and the rotor will break into each other, or all their irregularities will match. So you get maximum surface.
If it's a bunch of ridging, though, you can get some glazed spots on the pads because you'll have such a small contact area for that break-in period as soon as the pad deforms. So,
yes, for that reason, doing pads and rotors at the same time is best because you have two really nice, freshly manufactured surfaces that interact with each other, and you can go through a typical break-in procedure. The other issue with all these Audis is that the factory uses the same rotor on both sides.
The beam counter's struck.
Yeah, and the rotor is directionally vaned, so it works properly on one side, and on the other side, the air flows backwards. This is fine for street cars and people that just kind of putt around. But if you really drive the car hard or you track it, then you are going to get substantially hotter rotor on the one side. So our rotors correct this. They have proper directional veining. There's a left and a right rotor. And we will be releasing RS5 pads soon. These are our new StreetSport Dynamic Plus, our new 034 Motorsport Dynamic Plus brake pads for the B9 S4 that we just released. And RS5 is coming soon, but we do have the RS5 rotors. Huh?
Those fit RS5.
These fit RS5?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, they have the same caliper. Yeah. Okay, so those are available now. Okay. So yeah, if you're interested, our goal is to provide really nice braking solutions for these cars, and we should have just about everything for these cars at this point. Why did you develop upgraded head gaskets when a multiple of other modern engines use OE head gaskets when going for big horsepower? We have been working with Cometic head gaskets for a very long time, and they have some really nice technology to produce a better quality, higher power handling gasket than the factory gasket. So we've been working with Cometic to bring these upgraded high performance 034 Motorsport head gaskets to market. They're actually not any more expensive than the factory ones. In some cases, they're cheaper. So it's a great option. It's just another option. I don't think we would say that the factory head gaskets are real bad or failure prone in this application. This is a factory head gasket. That's ours. But these cars do have head gasket issues with the factory studs stretching.
Bolts.
Factory bolt stretching. So our studs fix that. And while you're in there, you can do upgraded head gaskets as well. So just more options. Yeah, you can also do a lot with a lot of the factory parts, but just not as performance oriented. For B9 RS5, when is the TCU Stage 2 beneficial? Planning on doing Stage 1, 2, and eventually 1+, 2+ ECU.
I mean, honestly, right from the gate, it is, I'd say, as transformative of a feel of like a driving perspective, or the feedback is that improved with the Stage 2 tune.
That's the feedback we get from customers.
Yep. So no, it adds another level of performance and just sport and performance feel to the vehicle.
Stage 1 is basically like factory.
It is factory.
Shifting.
Yeah, it is 100% factory. It's just the torque lift.
So yeah, you will experience all the benefits of a performance TCU by going to Stage 2. You don't need it. You can do it later, but if you do it now, you will experience all the benefits. 207mm crank pulley the best for the money?
Depends what you're doing. I mean, if you've got nothing on there now and you're shooting for that ratio, that's your quickest way to get there.
Yeah, it gives you less options, right? You're at a really high ratio. So we offer lots of different options, but yeah, if you want to go with the highest, a very high ratio for the least amount of money and effort, that's the one.
Yeah, and it gets you, of all the combinations, obviously it gets you the biggest amount of belt wrap on your charger and your pulley, so belt slip is much less of a thing for that ratio.
I'm stage 3 with TTE 720 turbos on my B9 RS5. Is it safe to use launch control, or do you not recommend it? It seems violent.
It is rapid. Those things get up and go. Yeah. So no, we have tested the crap out of these things and have launched the bejesus out of them. So no, use it if you want it. If it's too much torque off the line, you can always just back off the gas pedal. You are kind of in control of how much torque you're leaving the line with. So it's by all means you can tailor that to your conditions and whatnot. Yeah, if you're getting wheel hop and stuff, it's that can be violent in that you're shock loading the system depending on your tires, your conditions, and all that. So, but no, with a good clean launch, it should be smooth and it just kind of a kick in the pants thrust that doesn't end until like 4th, 5th gear.
Yeah, and it is safe to use. That's why we offer it. And just keep in mind, transmissions and tires, they can deal with things that maybe seem dangerous for a human body. So we would not recommend putting those the amount of torque and force applied to the drivetrain through a human body, but the mechanical systems and the metal and all that stuff deal with it just fine. It does come with a cost. It's not free, so there's some amount of wear and
you're putting an extreme amount of load on all these components, and it's not.
But there's no launch 17 times and the 18th time your car explodes. That's not a thing. So it's just like every time you drive your car, you wear it out a little. It's no different. The new nickel calipers look great. Has there been much headway made on B9, B9.5 SQ5 flex fuel calibrations?
Mm-hmm. Yep, we are working on that. Mm-hmm. There's both hardware and software work in process right now.
Yeah. I'm glad you like the brakes.
Yes.
Nice little segue there.
The way to sneak in the questions.
Would you agree that running a pressure ratio of around 3.0 is best for a circuit-driven B8 S4? Was going to go 192 crank alone, but can't find any in stock. Tempted to go higher, like a 207. That might be too much.
Yeah, I like running as low of a pulley ratio as is reasonable for what your goals are. And on road course stuff, I would say 190, 192 is probably a really nice spot to be.
Yeah, when we have a 190, and I believe it's in stock.
We have a 190. It should be in stock. So that 192, 190. I mean, they're so close.
For a track car, you're gonna be much faster for longer with a lower ratio and putting less heat into the system and less load on the engine. If you were doing time attack or something and you needed one good lap, sure, run a really high ratio.
Yeah, even then, depending on the track and whatnot, you're still making a lot of heat.
But on track, what we found repeatedly is, the horsepower. Outright horsepower isn't what makes you faster on a track, not for 30 minutes at a time.
Yeah.
It's going to be running the vehicle at a thermal load, not just the engine system, but the braking system also has a thermal capacity. And when you run less power, you also put less heat into the brake system, right? All those forces have to be dealt with. And you're also putting less thermal load into your cooling system, into your intercooler, into your heat exchangers built into the supercharger. You're not adding all that extra heat into the block and heat soaking the whole thing. So I would definitely say our 190 would be the way to go for a track driven 3.0.
And if you look at the power charts on all the various pulleys and things, you're going to make a bunch more torque in mid-range. That's usually where the pulleys kind of shine. When you're on track, you're generally at the much higher end of the RPM band. So you're making a bunch of extra heat.
That's a good point.
Or a bunch more heat, meaning you're less efficient because you're spinning the rotors that much faster. For not a lot more juice for the squeeze. So generally, run as low of a pulley ratio as you can to get the results you're looking for.
How long is free shipping to Florida? Typically, if you place an order with us, it should ship the same day if you place it, say, before 2 p.m. Pacific time. Most orders, we say, ship within 1 to 2 days. And then Florida's on the other side of the country. So for us, you're going to see an average of about 5 business days, depending on how we ship. So if you do our free shipping, we're going to choose whatever shipper we deem appropriate. Usually the least expensive one. So, yeah. And if there's a hurricane or something, which I understand there's like a third one heading towards Florida right now. Sorry, it could delay things further. But I would say, give yourself about 7 days. Give or take.
I just had something shipped from Florida last week, and it was militant, so it got delayed a couple of days.
If you're in a bigger hurry, we do have dealers that stock our products all up and down the East Coast.
Yep.
Euro Tuning's right in Tampa.
URO Tuning, USP, ECS, FCP, Accelerate. I'm just going off the top of my head. Sorry if I don't mention. There's hundreds more dealers that we have on the East Coast, but those are the ones, some of the bigger ones that have stock. You could always a lot of like ECS, and I know some probably Euro. They say if it's in stock or not, or they'll tell you if it's drop shipping. If it's drop shipping, then you won't receive the benefit of buying from the East Coast. But as always, it's a good idea to stock dealers.
Yep.
And benefit from customers like this. And we do not have any warehouses out east that make it any faster. Not at this point. So follow up, makes sense for track days. So fairly long sessions. We'll aim for that lower ratio then, and we'll be getting rid of the stock crank pulley, which is a no-fail product. Yeah, perfect.
Yep. Awesome.
Yeah, all good things. And our tune is track proven. It was track tested years ago and continues to be very, very popular track tune for the B8 platform. B9.5 RS5 interested in the big brake kit. However, I'd also like to upgrade the rear. Would I just get Dyna Plus rear rotors and pads separate? We have a rear line kit coming. We are evaluating a big brake kit for the rear. So this is something like what we do in the front, where we change the caliper carrier and we make the rotor bigger, and we move the factory caliper out, however 10, 15 millimeters difference. So for the time being, if you wanted to, yes, you could do our rotors and lines. The RS5 has a lot of brakes in the back already. So what we found is you can increase the braking in the front, and there's plenty of braking capacity in the rear. So visually, you could match the style of the rotors and gain the benefits of the vented directional cooling as well. But we will be releasing the rear lines soon. Yeah, our rear brake kit is 40 millimeters larger than stock, so 370 mil. And that will be coming at some point. It's thinner than the front, but still ridiculously big. B8.5 S5 034 is the only company offering J-slot style brake rotors. Why are they superior than cross-drilled and or slotted rotors? Which brake pads do you recommend for these two-piece rotors? We have StreetSport pads coming for the B8 platform soon. So we were able to release the B9 ones first. So I would recommend hanging on as long as you can until we release our pads. The J-slot aren't necessarily superior or better than anything else. It is important to have some type of rotor face venting. This mainly allows when you're braking, especially under high heat, the pad surface is vaporizing. So if you have a perfectly flat rotor face, this off gassing can get trapped under the pad face and prevent the pad from really touching the rotor face. Almost like if you drop a drop of water in a really hot pan, if it's really, really hot, the water will just sit there on a ball, on a cloud of steam, and it actually will not evaporate as quickly because it's being insulated by the steam. So the J-hooks or slots or drilled holes allow these gases to escape. What we've seen over the years is when you drill through a rotor face, it can be a place that cracks propagate from. And it does. It's not hard to imagine you drill a hole through something, it does weaken it. So to ensure that these rotors have maximum life and can deal with maximum load, we found the J-hook is a great option. I think slots are also good, but the J slot has kind of become a little visual signature. Alcon uses it too. But we always liked that look, and so that's what we decided to go with. But we're not here to say it's superior to anything else. Our rotors are very good. They use a very appropriate metallurgy for brake rotors and the type of heat. So we don't see warping problems like you would see with factory rotors. And
they've been on my S4 on the track. They've been the most consistent rotor setup I've had over the years. So.
And we have customers doing 15-20 track days, on one set of rotors, which used to be kind of unheard of. There's definitely been times where we would go to the track and change rotors.
I used to bring multiple sets of rotors.
Yeah, the factory rotors and aftermarket as well. So, yeah, I did mention that. Yeah, but we do have the B8 pads coming, so hang tight. My control arm bushing are cracked. I'm looking to get your 034 control arm kit. Which one is 65 to 70 drummer and keeps the same type of tunability as OEM control arms? Basically, I just want reliable replacement. Yeah, our density line control arm kits are perfect replacement for that. Strongly recommend looking at those on the site. We do offer some adjustable control arms as well, but our density line control arms is one of our most popular and renowned products. We've sold too many sets to count. Been very successful. It's actually a product that goes back to the mid 2000s when actually I believe I was one of the first 034 at the time, which was just me, maybe Nate, one or two other people. We were one of the first to bring aftermarket control arms.
Of any kind, yeah.
Of any kind. Before that, you had to go to Audi for B5 control arms. So, as part of our density line program, I went out and found an OE manufacturer, and we made some changes and updates, and we've been selling them ever since. So, yeah. Follow-up, will you offer ceramic brake pads for the B8.5 S5? Yeah, we are. So we're initially releasing semi-metallic options, which is what you will see soon. Those are in production. And we are now working on a line of ceramic pads due to customer feedback. We understand that ceramic brake pads are very popular for their low dust and decent performance. So that's something that will be coming in the future. But initially, you'll see the StreetSport pads out for those. What is the current version of the Stage 2 TCU tune for the AL552 ZF8? And when will an update be available?
It depends on, I think, the specific box we have to get exactly right. Let's look and see what most of them are on right now, though. I was just looking into that. Oh boy, those are Q7 things. So I think most of these you're going to be looking, it's going to be between R1.0 and then there's a couple versions up from there depending on what exact version you're on. But beside that point, we have a wholesale update coming across in the next weeks here It's going to be R2.0 is what that's going to be referred to. And it's got a whole suite of changes. We just talked about it a little bit earlier. So, just kind of hang tight. You can always check with your Flash app, see what the latest is on the flashing server. But there haven't been like a bunch, any big like announcement changes or anything like that for last year or two at least. We've kind of been compiling it all and getting ready for this R2.0 setup. That's where we're at now.
Anything new coming out for B9 generation A4?
Oh, we got some stuff coming.
Well, we have a tune coming out very soon.
Yep.
We are just finalizing.
Yeah, we're doing, I'm sure a bunch of you saw, we're doing beta, a couple of beta groups right now. But yeah, it's coming soon. And we got a light that
just turned on.
Checking out. So
I think the adapter's dead.
Yeah, those power supplies have not been great.
I
hear it's good. Like arcing, so you just got to hold it just right.
Just stand there and hold.
We might have a firelight like soon for lighting. But yeah, tuning and calibration stuff is going to be a big thing coming soon. So ECU and TCU stuff will be dropping. Stage 1, 1+, we've got all kinds of stuff in the works. So
yeah, we have some motorsport motor mounts coming out, which are going to be stiff mounts, but I believe those will fit the A4.
They should.
Other than that, I mean, you could build an entire.
Yeah, we've got a pretty full catalog for that car.
So
tuning's been the big thing missing off that catalog for a while. So we've got that that's coming very soon.
If there's anything you feel is missing, please let us know.
Yeah, no, we've got from the tires to the all the way up at this point. We've got stuff for you.
Yeah. Last week it was mentioned that MPI tuning will be available in the future, but will it be for 1320 and 1900 only, or others such as the Whipple 1.6 liter and Maggie 1740?
Yeah. To be clear, we mentioned it may be available. Chances are good we'll be doing that as a full effort in product line. Charger support, obviously certainly the stock chargers and the Merc. The other files will probably be close enough that we can mix it in the middle there. There's only a handful of guys I know of that are running those other chargers though, so that's honestly not that big of a focus for us. But once we're at that point and releasing more files, we'll probably reach out to us and we can see if it works out for you.
I'm not familiar with the Whipple.
Yeah, there's a couple of other that were real small runs. So
there's like maybe 3 or 4 out there.
There's just a handful. Yeah, it was a super small run of billet manifolds and stuff made for.
But it's a whole replaces the factory supercharger.
Yep.
Interesting. Is that the one that Addict was selling or someone like that?
It's the one that Mario sells actually.
Okay. Advanced launch control for the CREC 3.0.
Yeah, it's on the list. Hasn't been. Yeah, we have a bunch of other CREC stuff coming. So I don't know if it's coming soon, but it is on my list to get tackled.
Tuning for upgraded internals like Stage 3 software for the 3.0 team.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what we're working on for both B8 and B9.
Yep.
Yeah. Initially, we're just evaluating if anything even needs to change. So we're not saying for sure that you will need a different tune, but we will verify one way or the other. Are there plans for a Mark A GTI Stage 3 file with stock downpipe? And would it be able to get CARB approved? I think that's something we've spoken about. We would like to offer stock downpipe tunes for all these tunes.
Yeah, the stock downpipe's not a huge impedance. It will be some power reduction. So yeah, we certainly can and will be offering stock downpipe files.
As far as getting it CARB approved, it's a very slow, difficult, challenging process. It's like pushing water uphill. So I doubt we would go for that one.
The last handful of times we've had to go through the process, we've had to buy a vehicle to do it.
You always do.
It's pretty painful just because they want some shoehorned example of
the more the issue is which vehicle do you buy?
That's no. That's what I'm saying. Like usually we have a handful of these vehicles here. We're like, hey, we got a car. It's perfectly suited. It's what everybody's running. And you submit your application. You're like, yeah, that's great, but we want you to run this one over there. That's 4 pounds heavier and ticks some other box they want on the.
Or you go and buy the car they say that you should buy, and then it turns out it's not their.
Yeah, you go through all the testing. You send the car down there. They do all the testing.
We just bought a fucking car for you.
You get it back, and then the engineer's like, oh, actually, no, that's not going to cover anything but that one model year that we told you to buy. So you can go ahead and pick up another one and bring it down. We'll test that.
Yeah,
it can be pretty painful, but yes, we will. We do have full intention of getting stock down by files, though. That is absolutely something we want to get on there.
For B8 stage 4, for B8 S4 stage 1, what short-term fuel trim for both banks should be under wide open throttle?
It's going to depend. They will do long-term trims as well, so it can change a little bit depending on your exact setup, your injectors, your what kind of state your map sensors are in, that kind of thing. I would say between plus or minus 10% on both of them is generally where I think everything should land, regardless of how well dialed in your long-term trends are. But that's probably the normal range for what we see.
Yeah. This is a good question. I don't have a good answer off the top of my head. I don't want to steer anyone wrong, but they're asking, what piston ring gap do you recommend for your JE pistons on an EA837 and 839, and how much boost should we for 30 pounds of boost? I don't want to steer anyone the wrong. I have some notes on this that I can take a look at. Generally, I would speak to your engine builder and see what they have to say, see if they have some advice, especially if they've built similar motors that are turbocharged and see high thermal loads. In general, you're going to want to be looser than stock, because these aftermarket pistons have different alloys that expand more and see more thermal.
Yeah, well, and their operating range is being designed very differently than what a stock stock intentions are. So there's a lot more considerations to make a more optimal gap and sealing setup in there.
I think we should put some notes. We will add some notes. We're building some motors now, so we're learning about this ourselves, exactly particularly to these motors. So we will continue to update the site with more information. And I think JE has recommendations as well. Someone's asking about our Mk7 Loba Turbo E85 file.
Any new update for Loba Turbo E85?
Nothing that we've released.
I don't have any new updates for you. It's in the pipeline. The car is set up and ready for these things. I don't have anything concrete to give you, though, as far as updates.
As always, just stay tuned to our social media and to our email.
Yep.
If you're you would get an email from us if there was an update. Will there be a Stage 3 3.0T supercharge for the new upgraded internals?
Is this like a new tune?
Yeah, it must be.
Okay, we just kind of talked about this a little bit. Very likely, yes. We're going to evaluate it. I mean, the existing files will, I'm 99% sure, be totally fine in these situations. We might be able to squeak a little more power out of it, though, depending on what the timing numbers end up looking like with the compression ratio changes.
Yeah, lowering the compression will help there.
Yep.
Best handling mod for a B9 SQ5 without air suspension that does not affect ground clearance. Well, if you're committed to keeping the stock height, that's fine. Definitely our front rear sway bars will greatly reduce body roll, and our 21x10 ZTF wheels will allow our wider rubber 295s fit easily on those wheels on all four corners.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and you could do our front end camber arms and add about like 2 degrees of camber in the front. That would really improve your front end grip as well. And I can test. We have a SQ5 in house that Nick owns, and that thing's stuck on rails. He has air suspension, so it's lowered a little bit. It's nothing extreme, but the car has ridiculous grip, and he tracks it, and it can keep up with a lot of cars that shouldn't be able to.
Yeah.
So yeah, Get some good sticky tires with those mods, and you'll have a very, very fun, fast setup. We are coming out with static lowering springs as well. That will be a pretty mild drop and something you could consider. But if you can't compromise on your ground clearance, then there's still a lot you can do. Can I run a 3.04 pulley ratio on a stage 2 CREC file?
You're getting really close. We generally cap it at about a 3.0 ratio for stage 2.
Yeah, 0.04 is a small difference.
Yeah, I want to say you'll probably be fine with that. I mean, if you've already got that hardware set up, I would say flash it and run it. Let us know if you're tickling that cap. If you are, we'll get you sorted.
For the MQB lower control arms, if the bushings were to go out at some point, are they replaceable with OE-size bushings from other companies, or do you sell replacements? We will sell a rebuild kit for those. It's not something we typically release right at the beginning because the bushings will last years. So if you ever need anything, reach out to us and or check out our website. But yeah,
anecdotally, over the years, from the control arms that I've taken apart and measured, they're all over the place depending on manufacturer on those bushings, because there's not really apparently not really a spec that's given for the actual bushing shell and what kind of press fit it gets. So that's kind of up to the actual arm manufacturers. So between the OEM replacements, they'll kind of be all over the place.
Well, Nate's right. There's a chance that a different bushing out there would fit, but not likely, because to Nate's point, whoever designs the arm specifies the press bore for the bushing, and then bushings can get specced from there. So you would either want to extensively verify anything else you used, or just buy the right bushings from us, which we will add to our product line. Just to make sure, can you take a note on that?
Yeah.
Email me, just to make sure that, so I can check to make sure that's in play. Is there a playback feature in the works for the 034 app or software?
Actually, well,
It's been discussed.
Sort of. We are working on some light log review stuff within the software itself to make it a little quicker and easier for quick, just at a glance stuff. So obviously, you're dealing with a limited interface there, but we're looking at adding just some quick review stuff there. But as far as like a playback, like watching your gauges and everything move, that's not something we have in the works yet.
What gains can I expect when pairing the stock supercharger pulley with a 207mm crank pulley on a 2010 S4 B8? And when I flash the TCU, will unlock the launch feature on the DL51 box.
Yeah, so normally with the early S4s, we will have a file on there that will set you up with full launch capability. So you'll see that, or you will get that feature. As far as power output, just take a look to our stage 2 plus stuff there.
2 plus.
That's getting you into the 2 plus pulley ratios.
What stock parts should always be changed on a B9 RS5, also known as failure-prone parts? I think they're pretty solid cars, but
there's certainly some Achilles stuff in there. I mean,
definitely the water pump is problematic on all the B9s. Coil packs and plugs, they wear out and need to be changed. Factory motor mounts will fail, usually by 50,000-60,000 miles. They're bad. And the front factory control arms do wear out prematurely as well. We have parts for all these things except the water pump. You would just use factory or aftermarket replacement, reputable. Other than that, they're solid cars. I know sometimes the rear vector diffs can have issues. We had to replace ours for some reason.
Steering racks can be a thing depending on exact model years.
Yeah.
I mean as a platform, they're pretty dang impressive.
Yeah. B9 RS5 crackle versus no crackle tune. Crackle tune is non-stop crackles for a daily. The no crackle has absolutely nothing. Is there an ability for something in between? A slightly crackle, if you will.
I want to say you get a little bit of crackle if you're on the crackle file in comfort mode. I think you will get a little bit. When you put it in sport, it's going to give you all the beans, but I feel like in comfort mode, you'll still get a little bit.
Yeah, play with comfort. It should be less.
Yeah. But yeah, the no crackle file is by design per request. Crackles off.
Yeah, and we don't have a crackle knob, unfortunately. You know, a lot of people
not yet.
have one. How do I go about getting logs for my B8.5 S4 Stage 2 Plus? My car feels very sluggish.
Many different ways. The most common way these days is to use your phone with the SPI app. And yeah, you go into the diagnostics section, and then there's a data logging section right in there. And capture a log, try and get a good example of what you're feeling. When you stop the log, it's going to ask you for comments. Throw your notes in there about what you want us to look at, and you can submit it right through the app, and we'll take a look at it and let you know what we see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, happy to help. Mm-hmm. What's next for a daily after the Q7? My plan is to get an SQ7 soon.
Put an S on it.
Yeah, I'd like to finish the Q7 developments, which we're getting close to wrap up in the bulk of. It's not to say that we won't keep developing the Q7, but we won't necessarily need a daily driver car here. And I do need a bigger car. I have 4 kids, and I have 8 kids in my household, so having the bigger car is nice, and then that will allow us to have a 4.0T in-house to do fun.
Those will be coming soon too.
Juicy stuff with that. So yeah, stay tuned. Thanks for asking. Any tunes for BMW? We are working on that. Our initial effort is to make our server up BMW capable. So that's the next project that we'll be working on. And I think maybe G series, or is it F series? F series, some F series tunes.
Oh, as far as the initial stuff.
Yeah, I think the G series is still locked.
G.
No. Is it the F series that's locked?
The F series.
What's the newest one?
The newest is the G, but you can flash them.
Mm-hmm. Okay. It's either F or G, one of those two.
F and G.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, definitely look for more of that from us. Maybe
we don't have any solid timelines on when we're going to be rolling out stuff, tunes specifically, but it is in the works.
Mm-hmm. Hey guys, want to fit your stainless steel racing cab for the B58 vehicles, but your website doesn't list the M140i as a fitment option.
Yeah, it's likely it will fit. We'll have to validate that.
Yeah, just because we don't list it doesn't mean it won't work. Our guess is it will probably fit. I think if you want to shoot us an email to sales@034motorsport.com, our engineering team can look into it. Usually if we can verify the factory part cross-reference, then but yeah, I believe it should fit. Let Kenji know he has great customer service. Great to hear. Thank you. We do consistently get wonderful feedback for him, so he's a great resource and asset here at the company. By the way, if you follow our Instagram, we've been doing these fun videos where marketing goes around asking different staff different questions, and Kenji's been in a number of them.
Yep.
I've been able to be in one of them so far, so they're just kind of fun. Just kind of fun content, fun for the whole family.
Yep. Somebody replied to the crackle versus no crackle that comfort has the perfect crackle in my experience. So
comfort
I think you should still get a little bit of snap and crackle there on the comfort map.
Not sure if I missed it, but will 034 be coming out with a tune for the Mark 8 platform for full torque? Yes, you did miss it. I think if you go back to the first 20 minutes,
one of the first questions we talked about.
Yeah, but yes, we're working on it. It will be out as soon as we've deemed it safe and acceptable. All right, last question. Running on E85 on my B9, and the car sounds rougher, not just from the exhaust, but the engine bay. Love the power, but it's taking some getting used to. Thoughts?
There is a different. It's a different combustion. The things will sound a little different. It's more fuel mass. It's burning at a different rate.
I feel like due to the fact that it's mostly water, that the the FSI injectors and fuel pumps sound a little different when there's E85.
They might. It's more fuel volume. I mean,
it is more fuel.
You're moving more fuel volume, so you're going to hear more injector, more fuel pump.
My guess is it's mostly from the injectors and fuel pump. Just they're running in a totally different specification with different duty cycles than you're used to hearing, and so that roughness is actually just a difference.
Those injectors and pump are loud on those cars.
Yeah,
like
they are very
clattery motors when you open up the hood.
That's right. So I think it's totally normal, especially if the quote unquote roughness goes away when you put gas in the car. Then it's just the acoustics.
There's just not a whole change in things.
Yeah, no, there's nothing about it that's harder on the engine or the engine's not running more rough. If it was running rough, you would get codes and a check engine light, for that kind of stuff. All right, I think we got through every single dingle question this week.
Most all of them, yeah.
Thank you for joining us. I appreciate it, and I believe we will be here next week, next Monday.
It's pretty far in the future, though. It's hard to plan.
Yeah. All right, guys. Cheers, guys.
Yeah.